Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I have a ton of updates to share about Donald Trump's coup clown. So first up is news about Trump's Georgia co-defendant, Trevion Kuti. Kuti, as you might recall, was involved, or allegedly, let's say, involved in a pressure campaign against Georgia election worker Ruby Freeman. And I recently shared that Kuti appeared to threaten Freeman. She did an Instagram live stream video, and she said, she was going to F this woman up when everything was done. She was also seen flipping off the camera and posing for a picture with the January 6th convict known as the QAnon shaman. So Kuti's two attorneys petitioned the court and asked that they be able to resign as counsel. But at least one of those attorneys is now saying that he asked to withdraw for financial reasons, not because she's a train wreck of a client. Attorney Steve Greenberg said that he was initially trying to help her out as a friend, and he said that others had promised her financial assistance to help with her legal fees. Well, Greenberg has come to realize this is a much more complex and lengthy case than what he anticipated. He said, being that it's going to be a 4-month trial and blah, 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 and Kuti's financial assistance apparently fell through. So he told the judge if she can come up with the cash to pay him, he would be happy to represent her again. But until then, he's peacing out. So on Friday, the judge granted the request for both of the attorneys, and then he questioned Kuti about her plans. He said, are you going to retain a new attorney? Are you going to represent yourself? Can you imagine? Are you going to use a public defender? So Kuti said she doesn't want to use a public defender, so she's trying to get the funding to retain another attorney. So the judge told her, I'll check back in with you in a couple of months, but he urged her, do not wait. You need to find representation as soon as possible, because he warned her that if she waits and she gets an attorney and it's right on the heels, or right at the precipice, I should say, of the trial, and that attorney tries to get a delay, he said, I'm probably not going to grant a request for a continuance. It's just not going to happen. I don't understand why Trainwreck Trevion can't go to some of her rich friends, right? I mean, Donald Trump, she loves him so much. I mean, she thinks he's such a great guy. Why isn't he helping her? Why isn't her old pal Kanye West helping her? She used to be his publicist. I don't get it. Anyway, this same judge granted another request in this case last week. America's defendant, Rudy Giuliani, has asked for permission to interview 4 of his RICO co-defendants. And these are the people who have accepted plea deals. The judge said, I will allow it. I'm not going to block you from doing that. But he said Giuliani can't force these people to sit for interviews. So if they agree, then he can interview them. So we'll see if any of them step up. In related Giuliani news, Georgia election worker Shay Moss and Dominion Voting Systems will be serving on Giuliani's bankruptcy creditor committee. I mentioned recently the people who are owed money by Giuliani can form a committee, and then that committee is granted the authority to hire attorneys, hire investigators. They're able to interview Giuliani. They're able to do whatever they need to do to search for his assets and to ensure that he's telling the truth about his finances. Well, several others have already been appointed to serve on the committee, and now those 2 have been added. So I'll keep an eye on that for you. Also, one of Trump's other co-defendants scored a bit of a win in the Georgia RICO case without a whole lot of explanation. Georgia Republican Senator Sean Still was one of Donald Trump's fake electors in the state. He just secured a 3-month reprieve, basically. The judge's order stated, quote, as a current member of the General Assembly, the defendant is automatically entitled to a continuance and stay from all aspects of the case. The defendant's requests for a continuance of the motions deadline are therefore granted. So Still doesn't have to meet the deadlines for these motions that were due, but the judge ruled that he would have to comply with discovery rules. So he still will have to turn over any evidence he has, and they will have to do the same with him. In related news, the judge said that he'll likely hold a hearing regarding the allegations that were just made against District Attorney Fani Willis. I shared last week one of the Georgia RICO co-defendants alleges that Willis was financially benefiting from this prosecution because she had a romantic relationship, or maybe still has, with one of the men who she appointed as a special prosecutor. Well, Fani Willis was at church over the weekend, and she addressed these allegations from the pulpit. Here's what she had to say.
Why does Commissioner Thorne and so many others question my decision in a special counsel? Lord, you're flawed, hard-headed, and imperfect child. I'm a little confused. I appointed 3 special counsel, as is my right to do, paid them all the same hourly rate. They only attacked one. I hired one white woman, a good personal friend and great lawyer. A superstar, I tell you. I hired one white man, brilliant, my friend, and a great lawyer. And I hired one black man, another superstar, a great friend, and a great lawyer. Oh Lord, they gonna be mad when I call them out on this nonsense. First thing they say, oh, she gonna play the race card now. But no, God, isn't it them who's playing the race card when they only question one? Isn't it them playing the race card when they constantly think, I need someone from some other jurisdiction in some other state to tell me how to do a job I've been doing almost 30 years.
So there you go. That's her take on it. And they're going to have a tough time with that. They're going to have a hard time with the part about her hiring 3 special investigators and paying all of them the same hourly rate. Now, should she have maybe steered clear of any controversy and hired someone else? Yeah, probably, but it's starting to sound like it's not the huge, massive, oh my God, the sky is falling scandal that Trump and his minions have been making it out to be. Anyway, it hasn't stopped the House Republicans from making complete jackasses out of themselves yet again. The House Judiciary Committee has launched an investigation into this matter. They launched this on Friday, and Jim Jordan is asking for invoices from prosecutor Nathan Wade. They also want details about his alleged meeting with the January 6th Select Committee. So Nathan Wade is the man in question who Willis is having a relationship with or had a relationship with. I don't believe that U.S. Congress has any jurisdiction over a state investigation or any right to demand any of these documents or details, especially not when it's clear that House Republicans are just using this to muddy the waters. And they would love to get their hands on information that they could then hand over to Trump to help him with his case. That's just so obvious. Next up is news about my pillow man, Mike Lindell. He is having a meltdown, tears on his pillow, I guess you could say, because Fear News Network, otherwise known as Fox, they pulled all of his ads off of their shows. Lindell was on Steve Bannon's show, and he claimed that he's being targeted with cancel culture because Fox dropped his commercials. It makes absolutely no sense, but it's Lindell, so he posited the idea that this whole thing is happening because he has now hired has-been Lou Dobbs to do a show on his TV, quote-unquote, TV channel, Lindell TV. And then Lindell said, quote, I believe this is all about stopping me from talking about the election platform and the elections. I mean, they're pillow commercials. What the hell is he talking about? As usual with these perpetual victims, he is not exactly telling the full story. A Fox spokesperson said, we would be happy to run Lindell's ads as soon as he pays us. Fox says They spoke at length with Lindell's media agency, and the media agency knows very well that this is simply a matter of payment. Lindell told the Washington Post that he paid Fox $4 million for ads in the month of December of 2023 alone. Fox says, no, that is not true. That $4 million was for previous ads that he ran in June and July. So he was paying for ads that ran half a year earlier, basically, because he was behind on payments to them. And we all know he's been having financial issues. I mean, he says he is one day and then the next day everything's great. It's so hard to know, though, which liar to believe in this situation. Anyway, next up is news about an attorney for Mark Finchem. Finchem, you'll recall, he's another Arizona election denier. He ran for Secretary of State in 2022. As with his friend and fellow sore loser Kari Lake, Finchem went on a rampage and he filed lawsuits claiming the election was rigged against him. You know, it's not fair. You have to get rid of the machines, blah, blah, blah. Well, one of his attorneys was just barred from practicing law in the state of Arizona for 30 days. And then he has to change his bar status to retired for a minimum of 1 year. Attorney Daniel McCauley was slammed by the judge. She cited his filing of at least one of Finchem's frivolous lawsuits, and the judge's order said, quote, Mr. McCauley admits that he lacked a sufficient factual or legal basis for several allegations advanced in those proceedings, and further admits that some of his claims were false, inaccurate, frivolous, or based on speculation. You don't say. So McCauley has said in a previous interaction, apparently, with this judge, that basically it didn't matter if he was sanctioned, it didn't matter if he was punished, because he was already 75 years old, he's semi-retired, so he made it out like, yeah, I know this is all BS, but whatever. So that's why the judge ordered such a short period of forced retirement, because she said McCauley basically has no intention of continuing to practice law anyway, so he's on his way out. Let's just get him there sooner. So that's where it stands. Yeah, like I said, if they had evidence, they'd show it, but they don't. All right. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like this video, share it, become a subscriber if you have not. Please donate if you possibly can, even if it's a one-time super thanks or tip or whatever it is now over on TikTok, depending on what platform you're on. I really appreciate it. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.